All right, so welcome back to the channel, and today what we're going to be doing is mods. So a lot of times we have these proprietary computers that we've used and they just look so bland. I mean, yeah, they're bland. And we want to add some bling to it. We want to make them look a little better and a little showpiece in our office. And yeah, modding is cool. I mean, if you're a computer enthusiast or you're getting into this, everybody wants to make their computer cool. I mean, I haven't met anybody who doesn't want to do this. A lot of people take the Dell Optiplexes and what they do is they cut them up, spray paint them, yada yada, put them into new cases, and that's what they do. So today I'm going to be talking about doing it with this computer, the Lenovo M53, and we're going to put a window in it and we're going to put a little bit of light in it just to make this thing a little better. So this computer is going to be from my garage, and if you watched the previous video, we upgraded it, memory, hard drive, put some thermal paste, cleaned it up, and now I need to make this a better centerpiece for my garage. Well, not centerpiece, but if it's going to be in the tech garage, it's got to look somewhat cool. So that's what we're going to do today. So first things first, you're going to need a Dremel tool. This is a must. For any mod and enthusiast, you need a Dremel tool, and that's what we have over here. Dremel 4000, Lowe's, $100. So yeah. We have our LED strip. This one is blue, and the reason why I went with blue is because that's all I have. I would have loved to have white because I love a white looking computer that's inside. I just like that white underglow, but blue works. And we're going to get into this in just a little later on in the video, but pretty much when you're adding this, you have two wires. You have a ground, and depending on the strip you're using, a 12 volt. This one came out of an automotive. A friend of mine gave it to me and he used it for underglows for his car. So I know this is a 12 volt LED, and these do have 12 volts. They have the provisions for it, and we're going to talk about how we find it and what we do to make it work. So that's definitely going in there. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to cut a window. I want to see into this thing. I want to see how beautiful it is, or all the goodness inside of it. So typically when you cut the window, you got to keep in mind, like especially in this case, it's very small. We're going to add some acrylic piece. We want to make sure we have clearance. So clearance is very important, and you got to just kind of plan ahead on this. So the first thing I go ahead and do is I mock it up. I see what it looks like, and I take some measurements. So honestly, I'm not too concerned about seeing A data, and I'll probably take this off, the sticker off and everything. There's not much to see over here. What you really want to see is this over here. This would be the highlight of what to see. And also there's more room where I could add the LED strip and it will actually give it a nice glow, or I could put the LED strip over here and just illuminate that. So we'll see when we get to that. So measuring is important. First thing I want to do is I want to measure the distance between this like wall over here and the clearance I have between the hard drive. So I'm at 3 inches, so we're going to go with 3.5 inches. And by doing 3.5 inches, it's going to give me the space I need for this. Now, when I cut a window, there's two ways to do it. One, you could just cut the windows, and if you're really good and you got a steady hand, I mean, you could cut this thing real nice, and it's going to come out straight, and it's going to come out looking really good. I sometimes have a steady hand. Most times I don't. So to keep that in mind, in case I don't have a steady cut over here, I'll actually use this over here, and it'll fit into the little slot groove over here, and that will kind of hide the jagged cut, and it'll get rid of that unevenness if there is it. If I'm able to do this perfect and get a good cut, sand it and file it down, then I might just put the window in and not even worry about that. So I got to keep this in mind when I do this. A lot of the times I have to use this. A lot of times I'm able to get away with it. So just food for thought over here. So now that I've measured it, I've actually drawn a template. Well, my wife drew it and I just kind of modified it over here. And my window is going to be this area over here. And that area is actually going to show the fan, it's going to show the heat sink, it's going to show the memory, and I'll probably take this sticker off, maybe I even paint this shroud over here and just go with my theme that I'm trying to go with on this computer. So something to keep in mind, and you definitely have to be aware of what you're trying to show and your clearance issues so you're not going over. Also, if you go too close over here to the bottom, just cut it exact, you're not going to have an area to kind of glue the acrylic panel on, and you're going to run into an issue over there. So you got to make sure you have enough room on each side, which I took that into consideration. I gave a half inch, half inch, half inch. I have plenty of room over here because this is where the hard drive is, and the LED strip is probably going to go right across here, and then we'll wire it into there. So that's the plan. and let's go ahead and get started. All right, so first things first, got to clear up my work area, which I already did. Remember, you're going to be cutting into metal. These little fragments are going to be flying everywhere, so make sure your computer is not there. That would be good. Not good. Get metal into your computer, bzz, fly, fry it, you're done. So another thing I want to do is I got this piece of wood over here, and this piece of wood is actually going to keep me from messing up my workbench, because I'm going to cut through and then I'm going to have gouges. Don't want to mess up this workbench. I've already done enough damage to it with other projects, so have a good piece of wood. For your Dremel, make sure it's a metal bit, and that just makes the cut easier. So yeah, make sure you have a metal bit. I've actually used bigger grinders, but because this is a small area over here, I need a precise cut. Make sure you have a bunch of these metal bits, because this will eat them up pretty good, and I've run into that in the past. So there we go. There's our window. Not too bad looking. The cuts are not as good as I would like, but it'll get the job done. And I'll definitely have to use these rubber pieces to kind of help for my imperfect cuts. But yeah, so make sure you clean your area next. Get a file down these rough edges, and we're going to move on to our next mod, which is actually going to consist of painting this. I'm actually going to give this a different color, and then we'll move on to the lighting. So prep work is the most important thing when you're doing these paint jobs with a computer. So we're going to paint this a satin peacock blue. Why did I choose this color? Well, because it was on clearance at Walmart, and I'm all about saving money. And it's not a bad looking color. I don't know if the camera catches it pretty good, but it's a decent looking color. So as you can see, I don't want the front panel to get painted. I kind of like the little gloss black on it, and I think it'll look pretty decent with this kind of two-tone look on it. The bottom of the case, I'm actually going to keep it black, so it's going to be that black on the bottom, this satin peacock blue on the top, and then just have this gloss black and everything. So prep work is very important. So we tape this off, and also make sure you tape the back or any other thing, because if there's like a little LED and it has that little clear screen over there, you're going to paint it up. It ain't going to look too good. You can also gum up the power button, and yeah, don't want to do that. So I take a scuff pad, and it don't matter what type of scuff pad, and I scuff it up. And the reason why I scuff it up is to kind of open it up a little bit. That way the paint adheres better. Now you can get an adhesion promoter, but this ain't going to be a computer that I'm trying to sell or super fine paint job. This is just something I just want to keep in my little workspace over here and make it look decent, have a little window. Yeah, so I'm not going all out. The more effort you put into your paint job, the better it's going to come out and look. I've seen a lot of people where they just sand this down to the metal. They put adhesion promoter on it, and then they use a paint primer. They buff it out. It looks stinking amazing. All I'm going to do is do this, and I'll probably protect it and seal it with a clear coat on that, and it's going to make it look great. It'll be durable. I've done it for many quick mods and builds that I do on my stuff. If this was more like a showcase PC, I'd probably go a little deeper, really scuff this down, and definitely consider adhesion promoter, better primer, and all that stuff. So I'm going to scuff this up with this. Once I scuff it up, then I'm going to take some rubbing alcohol. I'm going to wipe it down. Once I wipe it down, then I'll be ready for paint and primer. It'll probably just take 2 coats of this. I think it takes, I don't know. Usually it takes about 15 to 20 minutes between each coat. Just depends on it. Yeah, this one says 1 minute between, wait 1 minute between each coat. Dry time to touch 20 minutes. So I'll probably do 2 minutes between each coat. After 20 minutes, I'll put the whatchamacallit, the gloss, whatever, clear coat on it. And I'll stick with a satin clear coat. That way I could kind of keep this color showing more. And that's the way we're going to do it. So let's go ahead, let's prep this thing up, and let's paint. So while the case is curing and getting all painted up, I'm going to go ahead and turn my attention right over here to this LED strip that we're going to install. So if you notice, in this small form factor or mini computer, however you want to call it, there's no provisions to add extra power. There's no provisions to really do anything. I mean, if you wanted to add lighting or anything like that, there's no way to do it. There's no SATA, there's no Molex, there's nothing. I mean, you have this SATA right over here, but the SATA power is proprietary. It goes right over here. So you're out of options over here. Next options, hacking. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look over here. And if you look, the power connector, I don't know how well this comes in the camera, but if you look, the power connector right over here has, for the fan, has 4 wires. So you have red, blue, black, yellow. So looking at a schematic online, the black, of course, is your ground. Your blue is your sense wire. Your yellow is a 12 volt, but I think it's tied in with the 12 volt sense. And your red is your 12 volt wire. Like I talked about, I have a 12 volt LED strip over here. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to hack into the black and we're going to hack into the red wires. And we're going to piggyback everything all up into this fan wire. And that's going to give us our power that we need for the blue LED strip. Now there's a couple of ways to do it. You could look at schematics online and figure out how to do it. I just looked up a 4-pin fan connector, primarily because this has the sensor in which it detects the heat. If it gets hot, the fan's going to ramp up, yada, yada, yada. So I looked it up and that was a schematic. This is pretty much standard for any 4-pin fan connector. So that's one way to do it. The other way to do it is, is to take a ohm meter. And when you take an ohm meter or voltmeter over here, you can test powers, grounds, figure out which one's doing. I just rather look up a schematic online and make it a lot easier. So I've already hacked into the power and the ground. I'm going to plug this in and we should see our blue LED. Very simple. That's fine. So what we're going to do is we're going to tie this in, piggyback this in. I might use these connectors over here. These are 3-way connectors. This is 2-way connectors. They're pretty good. It should fit in that corner over here. If I'm able to make this work, I'll go ahead and use these. I kind of like the look. So with the acrylic glass window, it'll just kind of give it more of a nerdy technology look over here. So let's go ahead. Let's mount these in. Let's wire these up. The fan should work fine and we'll be good to go. All right, so we are done with our Lenovo M53 and we did our mods and very happy with how it turned out. So another video, we talked about the specs and everything and upgrading and all that stuff. And this video is more geared primarily on modding it. So now this is not the greatest, most off-the-wall mod, but it's a mod nonetheless. So let's talk about it. Why did you want to do this? Let's talk about this real quick. So a lot of people, they get these OEM PCs that are just so bland and proprietary and yeah, there's nothing much to them. And this is a perfect opportunity to learn how to do some mods, learn some basic wiring, and just get comfortable and make this PC yours. You want to make this yours. You want to make it unique. You want to put your unique footprint in it. I like this color. I like the color blue, well, primarily because I didn't have white. And I thought this was actually pretty nice. Now, the one thing that I'm sure people will get me on will be my CPU fan over here. And I was going to paint this, and I was actually going to black out these wires and stuff like that, but this fan is bad. I need to get a new one, and it didn't come in time. So I'll definitely change that and maybe do an update on that. So definitely stay tuned on that. So this was pretty easy. So for $20, I think the acrylic glass was like $6. If I was to do something different, I would have gotten a thinner one for this because the clearance is really tight on it. And so $60 for that. It was, what else do we have to use? These are like $10, I think I paid for this, but it gives you like 20 feet. And that was pretty much about it. Oh, maybe $2 for this can of spray paint. So let's just say $20. If you have a Dremel tool or access to cut the hole in this, definitely do it. The key that I would recommend, and something that I kind of ran into a few times, plan ahead. I did have to do some mods over here and just kind of cut the little cowl that takes in the air over it. I just had to give it a slight little cut so it would just kind of clear the glass over here. Nothing that's going to affect thermals or anything like that. And just keep in mind of your wires and just where you place them. I'm glad I did it this way. It's not too showy, it's not too off the wall on it, and I think it's all a clean look for a little Lenovo M53. So if you're curious on how this thing performs, how it works, specs and all that, definitely check out my last video when I just did a complete review and just going over it, and you'll definitely enjoy that video. So thanks for watching. Comment down below, let me know what you think. Hopefully you enjoy the new garage tech studio. We're still going to be working on some lighting issues over here, and we'll see what we come up with next.